Good evening. I'm Reverend Darrell Gray. I am the chairperson for the Corrections Task Force for the City of St. Louis. This task force was created by Mayor Lyda Crewson. She announced on February the 10th that she was asking the new Corrections Task Force to begin to understand and review the following three urgent topics related to the City Justice Center, CJC. Number one, to investigate the alleged concerns and complaints regarding food, water, temperature, and clothing. Number two, the need to begin moving cases through the 22nd Judicial Circuit and any other measures possible to address the isolation and uncertainty resulting from the halting of court cases for nearly 1 year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And number three, to become apprised of the urgent building and equipment needs of the facility, which is approximately 20 years old. We continue to state that because we understand that we have a mandate to look specifically into three areas and that our mandate is restricted to the City Justice Center. We also understand that this culminates from three incidents, excuse me, that took place at the Justice Center on December 29th of last year, January 1st of this year, and February 6th of this year. I want to introduce the other members of the task force. Excuse me. Mr. Adolphus Pruitt is the president of the NAACP branch here in City Branch in St. Louis. The Honorable Jamila Nasheed, former Missouri State Senator. Alderman Joe Vaccaro, Chair, Board of Alderman Public Safety Committee. Alderman Jeffrey Boyd, Vice Chair, Board of Alderman Public Safety Committee. Dr. Pamela Walker, Public Health Executive. Reverend Charles Norris, who is both the pastor of the St. James AME Church and the president of the St. Louis Metropolitan Clergy Coalition. Brad Hump, who is a consultant, a criminal justice system and jail operations consultant, and myself. Dr. Pamela Walker also serves as the vice chair for the task force. Our agenda tonight will be as follows. My remarks have already been made. We will have public comments. Now, depending upon the number of people that sign up, for individuals, we are looking at 2 to 3 minutes with questions at the end from our task force members. If you are representing an organization, that's extended to 3 to 5 minutes with questions coming from our task force members. We would ask that you state your name. If you are representing yourself, please say that. If you're representing an organization or another person, we ask you to say that. You do not necessarily have to give us the name of the other person. It may be beneficial as we move forward, but in this public hearing, you don't have to give that name. As I said, questions from the task force will come at the end of your testimony. And please let us know if you're prepared to submit any written documentation or evidence to substantiate your testimony. Is Brad on with us? Was Brad able to make it? I'm looking now.
Yes, I'm here.
You too.
Okay. Brad, I would like, before the testimony, if you could give a brief summary of next week's agenda, the 3 days next week.
Certainly. So next Tuesday, Mr. Gray and Ms. Walker and I will tour CJC, and then we will begin interviews with the detainee wing representatives. And following that on Tuesday, we will have a debriefing with the full task force. On Wednesday, we will again be interviewing detainees in the morning, finishing up those detainee reps. And for the following rest of the day on Wednesday, we will be meeting with CJC administration and designated staff and contractors regarding the issues at hand. Thursday, we will follow the same with a debriefing again in the afternoon. And Friday, tentatively, we have a meeting scheduled with an invite scheduled with the Public Defender's Office with a final debrief of the task force and a discussion on our report format moving forward.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Brad. And now one more piece of housekeeping. Because we did not have people who signed up to give testimony this evening, the task force decided to continue to have the public hearing, even though we had no names that had registered before the deadline. The task force recognized and understood that these were special circumstances. Usually, the task force of this magnitude would follow the same protocol and procedure of other city agencies, boards, and commissions. But the task force felt that this was important enough to go ahead with it, understanding that the communication flows differently in some places. And so we wanted to make sure that we gave an opportunity for those who wanted to share their voice, an opportunity to do that. And so I want to thank the task force for doing that. I just want to be clear, the task force could have voted to move forward and not have the public hearing tonight because there were no names submitted. But in the sake of accountability and transparency, and you'll hear that a lot, the task force decided to move forward. And so I'm going to ask for those who are attendees who wish to testify, please put your name in the chat. That way we can look at the chat. We can see who is requesting to testify, and then we can use that as a running list. So, and I'll repeat that as we go along. So the first name that I have, and we'll begin, you have 3 minutes, is Jay Strotter. And Farragon, Brother Farragon, you're gonna help to plug him in. So Jay, can you hear us? Is that you, Jay?
Press unmute.
Okay, there you go.
Can you hear me?
There you
I
go.
can hear you. All right. So I'll ask you if you'll state your name. You have 3 minutes for your testimony. Let us know if you're representing yourself, and let us know if you're prepared to submit any written documentation. And you can do that as part of your presentation. Task force members may ask questions for clarification at the end of your testimony, and you can go ahead and begin now.
All right, I'm gonna speak real quick. I want to say thank you for your platform. I'm sorry I did not have the pre-knowledge of it. I want to say thanks to Urban League, Save Our Sons, Farrakhan, Tydrell, Stevens. Brothers, I appreciate y'all reach out to me. I submitted documentations to Save Our Sons program. My sister is Michelle Kennard. Her son is in the prison. His name is William Frazier III. I'm his uncle, Jay Strotter Sr., surname Nehemiah. And we did a segment on Real STL News probably about 2 weeks ago. So I can submit the link if you need it. But the thing that people don't understand is that there have been 3 to 4 more riots prior to.
We're having trouble with it. You muted. You have to unmute, Jay.
Open wounds on his feet and everything. Can y'all hear me?
We can hear you now. You may have to go back about 30 seconds.
I'm sorry. I had got a phone that interrupted the conversation. So again, my name is Jay Strotter Sr. I'm the uncle of William Frazier, so I'm representing him. He's currently incarcerated at the Justice Center. He been sick, staph infection, open sores on his wounds, on his feet, open running water, no change of clothes, no blankets, no nothing. They actually had about 3 to 4 riots prior to one that was televised. And the reason why that was televised because they busted out the windows. And thank you for Real STL News being there to witness the whole thing, because the other mainstream media, Didn't even give it no attention.
Exactly.
So we have submitted paperwork. My nephew wrote about 4 letters, William Frazier the third. He wrote about 4 letters. 1 letter made it through the system on January the 27th. We gave the documents, the envelope, the letter, and everything. And I'm talking about, thank God for whoever put it on that person's spirit to allow that letter to come through.
Exactly.
Because other than that, we would not have known what was going on. We got names, we got COs, we got caseworker names, and everything written in those letters. So we do have information.
And we got correspondence, and also let them know that a lot of people like, well, what are they in there for? Look, if they're in the city jail or even the county jail, they have not been convicted yet. So what happens to innocent until proven guilty?
Or due process.
That even the person on death row has rights. You know what I mean? These inmates in the Justice Center have not been convicted of any crime yet. They've only been charged.
Okay. All right,
You
hold
know
on
what
for a minute. But now, and I have two people talking, so I need to know who the second person is so that we can document that. So I've got 2 voices, and I know that we have Jay, and I don't have a problem with you having a representative there with you, but we at least need to know, because I've got 2 voices. And if the other person would like to testify individually, you can do that rather than a co-testimony.
No problem. So again,
Okay.
Real STL News came to my sister house, Michelle Kennard. I am Jay Straughter, and this is my brother Malachi Maccabee. These are the 2 individuals you are hearing are the 2 individuals that was in the video.
Of the Real STL News.
So you're hearing a second testimony, not so much as a representative.
Okay. All right.
So his
Thank
name
you.
is Malachi Maccabee.
Got it. So let's do this, Jay. Let's go to the members, and we may have some questions for clarification. I've got, I think the first question, Jay, is how long has William been in the detention center?
So he's been in the detention center since
2018.
since 2018. So he's been in there. Then with the COVID outbreak, that pushed everything back. He was actually dismissed of the charges and then recharged again. And that was pre-COVID. And if you need documentations or you need his representation, Patrick Kilsgore, who formerly worked for Rosenblum, is his attorney. Patrick Kilsgore.
So we'll go down the list. And Mr. Pruitt, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I got just a couple, but one, I want to make sure I understand. You mentioned these letters and it mentioned a caseworker and things like that. My assumption is that the caseworker has also documented the things that you said it was going on with Mr. Frazier.
It should have been documented, Mr. Pruitt. It should have been. Again, I have not been in the system, so I don't know how it works.
Sure, got it.
Which it should have been recorded.
Got it. We check that out. And then number 2 is, you say he's represented by counsel. So my question is, has this lawyer tried to file any motions with the court to on his behalf to ask that they issue some sort of order that his treatment be changed or the bad treatment cease while he's in custody?
Now, I have to be truthful. I cannot speak on that behalf because I don't have that answer.
Okay.
By the letters and by the conversation with my nephew as of currently last night when he called.
Yeah, he did call last night.
Last night when we first heard from him. He has not been receiving proper treatment for his current situation.
Has those letters been shared with his attorney?
It has been shared with his attorney. It's been shared with Real STL News. If latter you need, I will send you the link, or if you can reach out to Real STL News, they have all the paperwork, all the documentations, everything that we have.
Yeah. Hey, I appreciate it. That's it for me, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pruitt. Senator Nasheed, you have any
Thank you, Mr.
questions?
But I appreciate your time.
You're welcome. Now, we're
No.
gonna, we may have some
No.
more questions, so don't go anywhere. We may have some more
No.
questions.
No
Senator
comment.
Nasheed, no comment? Okay. Alderman Vaccaro, any questions?
Just real fast. So is he still represented by an attorney he's paying for, or has he got a public defender?
He has a paid for attorney. His name again is Patrick Kilsgore. He was formerly an attorney with Rosenblum before he broke off into his own practice. Patrick Kilsgore, Kinsgore, and it is a paid attorney, and he has been paid in full.
Well, and I was just more curious. And you said it was dismissed, but then the charges were brought back. I know the COVID has had delays. Has he tried to, through his attorney, have they tried to enter a plea or anything, or to move along, or is he just sitting there waiting, or is he asking for a jury trial? You know, I'm just curious, from, February of 2018, that's 2 years.
Yeah, no problem. If you want to look him up, again, his name is William.
No, I don't have to look it up. I'm just asking, that's a long time.
Transparent. The way these things work is when we transparent with each other, right? So
Right.
his attorney has presented the case. Now the case, he requests to be dismissed. He's not being charged for the crime. He's being charged for the association.
Right.
Okay.
Crime.
So he didn't commit the crime. He's being charged with the association. So it was
So,
the person
I'm
who
sorry,
was-
Jay. I have to interrupt for a minute because, like I said, there's some conversation that we're not able to have.
Right.
And so right. So I think you've given us a lot of information. There may be other, and I'll ask task force members, please, questions for clarification. That's what we need. And so Alderman Vaccaro, do you have any other questions?
No, that would be all. I was just
Okay.
interested to see.
Thank you, Elder, for bringing clarity to everything. And for me, I'm just not in a place where I like to. Transparency is for me. That's how I've always been with my family.
Well, that's
So,
how we operate.
because
We might have some more questions. Jay, hold on. Alderman Boyd, do you have any questions?
No question, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Dr. Walker, do you have any questions?
Thank you for your time, Alderman. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Dr.
Hi,
Walker?
Hi,
Yeah.
Jay. This is Pam Walker. And one of the things we're looking at are the health issues that you listed a couple there. And I'm just real curious. You said he was sick. He had open sores. He's had other things. Do you know what process he followed to get that addressed? Did they have someone on site that looked at him? Did they offer to transport him to another facility someplace? I'm just trying to get a grip on when someone presents with those kind of illnesses, what the response is.
All right. Well, I thank you, Ms. Walker. I thank you for listening and for hearing me. My nephew never had none of these issues prior to his incarceration. So they are not predated situations. Also, what happened was, and this can be checked out, they had water pipes that broke, right? And there was water, distilled water, feces water, contaminated water all over the floor. They're walking in this water. They'll have no change of socks, no waterproof shoes, or nothing. So my nephew's feet became infected. He reported that. We got the names. Again, Real STL News have those. I don't have the letters in front of me. If I did, I would call the names out, but I don't have it in front of me because I just got privy to this phone call to call in.
That's okay. That's okay.
Right.
I'm more interested in
So
what happened in the process.
So he did report it to the caseworker. And remember what, so again, the riot that made the news was not the first riot. So my nephew was transferred from the Justice Center. At that time, he was on the 3rd floor,
Right.
not the 4th floor that this situation happened in. They took him over there to what you would call Hall Street, or they call
The
it
workhouse.
the workhouse.
The jerk. Yeah.
So over there, they gave him no blankets, no medical attention, and they were trying to charge the inmates $150 a piece for the breakage of the water,
For the pipes bursting.
for the pipes
All right.
bursting. And my nephew had put in a request that those fees be waived because it's not their fault. So these are things that should be documented. And if you cannot reach them, I would give Farrakhan or Save Our Sons or Urban League my direct number, and y'all can call me directly, and I can make sure I get y'all all the information y'all need.
All right. If Mr. Farrakhan would give you my contact number, we can contact you and we can get that. Farrakhan has my number. Do you have any other questions, Dr. Walker?
No, thanks.
Reverend Norris, do you have any
Thank
questions?
you for your time, for listening. I thank you.
Yes. Reverend Norris?
No, my question's already been asked.
Okay. Brad, Mr. Hump, do you have any questions?
May I say
Nothing.
thank you to Reverend Noyes for listening and giving an ear. I thank you,
All
sir.
right. Blessings to you.
Nothing at this time. Thank you.
I thank you as well for listening and giving us ears for this.
You bet.
All right. So if there are no more questions from the task force, Mr. Slaughter, we appreciate you coming before the task force and sharing with us. I'll get your contact information from Mr. Farrakhan, and we'll be in touch with you so that we can try to secure whatever documentation you might have to substantiate your testimony. And we really do appreciate you coming on very much.
Bless you all.
Blessings to each of
Bless you
y'all.
all. We thank you all.
You're welcome.
All
I
right.
understand, Brother Farrakhan, did you indicate that you are prepared to testify? Mr. Shigal?
Yes, sir.
He left. Did you indicate that you're prepared to testify?
Yes, sir. I'm going to, if it's okay with you all, I have a letter that I received from an individual by the name of Q Brandon. He's actually a relative that is currently incarcerated at the Justice Center right now.
Can you
he's
spell
actually-
his? Can you spell that name for us, please?
Sure. CINQUE Brandon, BRANDON.
Okay, thank you.
He's
Go ahead and
currently
proceed.
he's currently there on parole violations, federal parole violations. But this is the letter that I received from him on Sunday, December the 14th. The concerns around the COVID-19 pandemic have become graver by the day here at the Criminal Justice Center. This follows the federal administration's declaration of a national emergency earlier this month. We are seeing the numbers of people contracting COVID-19 rise every day, with local governments, community organizations, and residents themselves doing all they can to prepare and ensure that they are equipped to endure this pandemic. Unfortunately, we have not done nearly enough to ensure the safety, health, and well-being of our community members that are locked in the county and city and state and federal jails. Specifically, in this case, the local jail. As both health and criminal justice experts have noted, carceral settings, including prisons, jails, and detention centers, are known incubators of infectious diseases. For instance, the Health Affairs Journal notes that our nation's experience with tuberculosis, HIV, and the ongoing hepatitis C epidemic has taught us that the correctional settings are reservoirs of these infectious disease. Prisons push people into the paths of epidemics. The Human Impact Partners Health Instead of Punishment program has also published a national report detailing the harms of pretrial detention from a public health perspective. The proven and most effective way to combat the spread of infectious disease inside of jails is to reduce the imprisoned population and release people back into their communities. We urge you, we urge you to take immediate action to ensure the health and well-being of imprisoned people and to mitigate the spread of COVID-19. We trust that this committee will consider recommendations provided by the community and selected leaders in the community to address these concerns seriously.
Thank you. Now, I understand, Brother Farrakhan, that it is a letter, but I'm going to ask task force members if they have any questions. I'm sure that your answers may be limited because of the letter itself. So I will ask Mr. Pruitt, do you have any questions of Mr. Shigog?
No, not at this time.
Senator Nasheed, do you have any questions?
No, I don't.
Alderman Vaccaro?
No questions, just if you could give us the letter for our file, someone for the file.
Okay. So Mr. Shigog, would you be able to provide that letter as documentation for our file?
Yeah, who do I forward it to?
You can send it to we have an email address that you can email it to. That way it'll go directly to the task force. And that email is CJC Task Force at stlouis.gov. I think that's the
Is it
extent of it.
-mo.gov?
Yes, I think, yes,
It's
-mo.gov.
at stlouis-mo.gov.
Got it. I'll forward it to you right now.
All right, thank you very much. Alderman Boyd, do you have any questions?
I do. Can you tell me again when that letter was received? Seemed like you said December the 4th or something.
February 14th, last Sunday.
Okay, February 14th. Okay. That must be some bad hearing. All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
questions.
Thank you, Alderman. Dr. Walker, any questions?
No, sir, not at this time.
Okay, Reverend Norris, any questions?
Just one. The letter mentioned a lot of things generally. Was there anything in specific that you've had conversation with him about that was a problem?
Absolutely. And I didn't want to read this part of the letter because I didn't, he didn't give me the thumbs up to go into his medical situation. But he is an inmate down there at the Justice Center that was infected with COVID-19. And he did express that when he did have COVID-19, it wasn't taken serious enough. And that's the extent of the personalization that he included in his letter.
Brad, do you have any questions?
Nothing, thank you.
All right, Mr. Shigog, we really appreciate your testimony and testifying on behalf of Mr. Brandon. If you can submit that letter to us by way of the email address provided, we'd appreciate it.
Yes,
And you'll be in touch with me to follow up on Mr. William Frazier III so that we can get that information as well. If there is written testimony, if you can reach out to Real STL News or whoever may have that documentation, they can do the same thing. Whatever they can email it to the task force directly. And if it's something that cannot be emailed, video or other evidence and documentation, we can make arrangements to secure that as well. So we really appreciate it.
no problem.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the waiting room? I see that we have 4 other attendees. Is there anyone else in the waiting room that has come tonight to testify? I'm not sure how we can. I'm trying to chat with them.
They can
I'm
raise
asking-
their hand or use the chat. That's
Okay.
nobody is. So
All right. So I don't see any other names. If there are no more names, as we indicated, we did put the information out again, and we circulated it this afternoon. I did make phone calls and I send text messages to organizations and individuals who had expressed an interest in the task force, gave them the information. We were not able to put out a press advisory. I did contact government officials in the communications office at City Hall. And unfortunately, time did not allow for us to be able to get the press advisory out, although it was reiterated that it was on the city's website. And so I believe that we have made ourselves available and accessible, and we will continue to let people know that they can continue throughout the course of the task force mandate to submit written documentation, and they can mail it to Corrections Task Force, 1200 Market, Suite 402. I'm trying to read my own writing. Suite 402, St. Louis 63103. That's Corrections Task Force, 1200 Market, Suite or Room 202, 402, 63103, or they can email it to CJC Task Force at ST. Help me out with that again, Pam. I can't read my own handwriting sometimes.
STLOUIS -MO.gov.
.gov. And we invite people to share whatever evidence, testimony, documentation that they wish to present. And so with that, then we will conclude our public comment segment. Want to reiterate to the task force that our next meeting.
There is a chat. Something did just pop up in chat saying that there is an attendee in the meeting that wishes to speak.
Okay.
Would they be allowed to speak?
Yes.
It popped up in the chat.
Yeah. Okay. Tell them if they would go ahead and give their name.
I don't know how to tell them. It just popped up.
Okay. I just tell them yes. Okay. Yes. Please share your name.
You have to unmute yourself.
The person is Dom Hussein.
Okay. All right, Mr. Hussein, can you hear us?
Hi there. Yes, my name's Dom Hussein, and I am not calling to testify. I work at Arch City Defenders, and I spoke with some community members that wish to speak to their experience and their family's experience, and they were unsure of how to sign up formally to testify, and so they had planned to call in through the general Zoom link. And I'm not sure if they are on right now. I just was curious if they would have an opportunity to testify now.
Yeah, yes, they definitely would. I have three names, Mr. Hussein. I've got Hope Brooks, Jeff Hantz, and the alphabet E. Are any of those people part of the group that wants to testify?
Yes, Reverend Gray. Hope Brooks was one person that I spoke to today.
Okay, then let's go ahead and have Ms. Brooks. Okay, there we go. Ms. Brooks, you have to unmute yourself. She's still muted from what I see.
Hello.
Okay, there you go. Ms. Brooks,
Okay.
This is Reverend Gray. I chair the task force. I know you've been listening in. We'd like to give you at least 3 minutes for your testimony. Please indicate, just state your name again for the record. Let us know if you're representing yourself or if you're representing someone else. If you care to, you can share the name of the person and or persons that you are representing. And that at the end of your testimony, task force members may have some questions. So please feel free to begin.
Okay, I just want to start off to say that I am so glad to be a part of this. And my name is Hope Brooks, and I'm representing my son. His name is Deron Brooks, which he's in the St. Louis City Justice Center as we speak. He's been held. He was just supposed to be in there for a holdover. He's a federal case, and he's been detained in the Justice Center since August of last year. I've spoken to he has a public defender. I've spoken to him. He said they were still investigating his case, but he said there was some of the charges has been dropped. So I asked him, I said, well, my son said that he haven't seen you or heard anything from you, but he's saying something about because of the COVID, they wasn't letting people in and out like that. So, but he said that they were still investigating this case. So, on that note, uh, I didn't know that the Justice Center had been having riots up until the prior accident that happened that weekend. I was talking to my son once or maybe twice a week, even before that had happened. And I never knew that anything was really going on because when we talked, I asked him how he was doing, just a normal conversation. But after the riot, he just started letting everything out. I don't know. I guess it was because he was saying that sometimes when they heard the inmates call and complain about what's going on inside of there, the officers take it out on them, start punishing them. So I guess at that moment, I guess he was just scared to say anything. But after the riot, he just really opened up to me, and he was saying how he don't eat in there because the food is horrible. So they just throw anything together. The trays are nasty. Uh, After the riot, he's on the fourth floor. The riot happened on the fifth floor, and he said after that incident happened, they just punished everybody in the whole facility. Just every day, just you could ask them a question, they just start macing you for no reason at all. A couple times a day, he was calling me, asking me to call down there to see when they was going to feed them because they haven't ate ever since that beginning of the morning. They haven't ate anything, and this was about 2:30 when he reached out to me and was saying that they don't give them soap or tissue. He just said the officer there treats them really bad, and he said just for no reason. He said, "Mom, half the time he said I don't get in trouble, and if I just ask them anything, if they don't get ignored, then they're gonna talk to him bad, curse at him." And he said, it's like they want you to get upset with them so they can make you or throw you in a hole. And every day after that ride, he was just complaining. He was so tired of being down there, he was ready to go to the workhouse. I said, well, no. I said, because it's just as worse down there. So I am so glad that this event is going on tonight. And I really do hope that some changes will be done. Thank you.
Thank you. And you've indicated, I guess I have a couple of questions and then I'll ask task force members. He's been there since August 2020. And he does have a public defender. And you're saying that his conversation with you, what he shared with you as relates to his concerns in the facility began after February the 6th. So after February the 6th, he began sharing with you.
Yes.
Do you have any, and you probably don't, if you have any written documentation, anything at all that you'd be able to share with us before we leave, we'll give you the email address. You can email us, you can mail us. What we try to do is to reconcile the testimony with whatever written documentation we have with facility records. And so the more written information or other documentation you can give us will be extremely helpful to us as we are investigating and reviewing the concerns and the issues that have been raised. And so we're going to go down the list, Ms. Brooks, and see if our task force members have any questions. Mr. Pruitt?
Yeah, hey, Ms. Brooks, have you had any conversations with his caseworker about any of this?
No, I haven't.
Got it. Yeah, that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Let me ask just a follow-up to Mr. Pruitt. Do you know if your son has had any conversation with the caseworker?
No, I haven't.
Okay. All right. Senator Nasheed?
No, I'm just listening.
Okay. Alderman Vaccaro?
No questions.
Alderman Boyd?
No questions. Thank you.
Dr. Walker?
Just a clarification, to make sure I heard it right. Ms. Brooks, I think you said that his public defender told you he could not meet with your son due to COVID.
Yes, he was saying that as far as they wasn't letting a lot of people in or out.
Okay, thank you.
Reverend Norris, do you have any questions?
No questions.
Brad, do you have any questions?
No questions. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Brooks, thank you very much for your testimony. Your testimony has been recorded. It will become part of the information that we'll be using to review and to investigate the concerns that have been registered pertaining to the mandate that the mayor has given us. Our prayers are with you, and keep up your strength, and we'll follow through, and hopefully we can quickly get to a place where we can make recommendations to make life better and safer and healthier for everyone that enters into the CJC. So thank you very much for your testimony.
Thank you.
You're welcome. At this time, Dom, are there others that wish to testify from your group? Do you know?
Yes, Reverend Gray. I do have a list of names. I don't know if they match any of those that you listed off.
Okay. Why don't you, how many do you have on your list, Dom?
Yes, so it looks like there are 3 more.
Okay. Why don't we do this? Why don't you call out the names, 1, 2, 3, you'll call out the names and we'll do them in the order that you give them to us.
Okay, so the first would be Tierra Seddons.
Okay. Tierra, are you on? Tierra, do we have Tierra on?
Nobody by that name is on.
Okay, we don't have anybody by that name, Dom. Who's the next one?
It would be Tracy Thomas.
Okay. Do we have Tracy Thomas on?
No, it's just still the same 4 people.
Still the same 4. Okay. And the third one, Dom?
Would be Mark Taylor.
Mark Taylor. And so Mark is not on. Dom, what we can also do, if they want to submit written testimony, we would accept their written testimony.
Hey, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask Dom a question?
Yes, Dom.
Hey, Dom, my question is that all of these folks are represented by council. Do you have any indication as to, and maybe it's happening, we don't know, why the council are not filing motions or things of that nature to try to compel the better treatment for their detainees while they're representing them?
Yeah, so I can't speak to any information that we've received on that end.
Sure.
I have been answering the jail hotline that Arch City Defenders has been conducting for the last while. And that case-specific information hasn't been shared necessarily for individuals. What we have heard is that it has been difficult for people to access their attorneys and access legal and law library information, and that court dates are being pushed out very far in advance.
As a follow, so I guess what I'm saying, I read something where somebody said that attorney said that after they saw their client, they left out of there in tears based on the condition they found their client in. And I'm just wondering if you find your client in that bad condition where it brings you to tears, I'm just trying to understand why that wouldn't compel them. And I understand what you guys do on a broader basis, but I'm talking about why would an individual attorney representing an individual client find their client in that sort of condition and not try to get the courts to intervene on their client's behalf? Or is the courts not receptive to it? Or is it just the term? I mean, of course you can't speak for those attorneys. I'm just trying to get some idea of maybe why an attorney wouldn't take that route.
Yeah, and I, like you said, I don't know if I can speak to all the possibilities for the hypothetical, but I would say, I would say access to even talking to people's clients has been mentioned as a difficulty. So I think there are a lot of barriers, systemic and systematic barriers that people are facing in trying to access clients, access legal resources, yeah, and just broadly access information about their cases as well.
Got it. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Dom, thank you very much. And I'll ask this question: are there any other, Dom, if you're open to this, are there any other task force members who wish to ask Dom a question, realizing that his answers may be more limited, but because we have him on and because he does represent a significant organization in the city, our city defenders, particularly with the jail hotline. My only question, Dom, would you be willing, and please forgive my dog, would you be willing to at least communicate with the people who wanted to be on the call tonight to pass on the information with the mailing and or the email? We do want to receive their testimony, and written testimony is just as good as anything else. So if you would be so kind as to share with them CJC Task Force at stlouis-mo.gov. And if they would submit those testimonies, that would be extremely helpful to us. Basically, the same questions we've asked everyone, their names, if they're representing themselves or another person or an organization, and if they're prepared to submit any other identifying information, so that if we have questions for clarification, we might be able to contact them. If you could help facilitate that, that would help us tremendously in our review and in our investigation.
Thank you, Reverend Gray. Yeah, I will definitely communicate with them about and coordinate with them on sending statements to their experiences to you.
Okay, thank you very much. Do we have any committee people who have any questions of Dom? I guess I can go down the list again. Mr. Pruitt asked, Senator Nasheed.
I think Pam had her hand up, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, all right. Dr. Walker.
Yeah, I just want to thank Dom for being on both this afternoon and this evening, and making sure we heard some further testimony this evening, because he's the one that suggested we go ahead and hold tonight's session, and just encourage you as a representative of Arch City Defenders to discuss what you can feel like you can share with us that will help us in our fact finding on our 3 charges, especially around the food safety, health, those kinds of issues. Anything that we can get in writing that you've gathered, that, you know, I know there are lots of issues up in the air right now, but anything you can share with us would really be most helpful over in the next week. But thank you for participating, and if you would share what you can.
Okay.
Of course,
Senator
Ms. Walker,
Nasheed.
thanks.
Okay, I'm sorry. Senator Nasheed, do you have any
No,
questions?
I don't have any questions. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Vaccaro?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, Alderman Boyd?
No questions, thank you.
All right, Dr. Walker has asked. Reverend Norris?
Questions? Thank you.
Okay. Brad Hump, Brad, do you have any questions? Okay. So from what I see, then that concludes those who have asked to testify. Again, our next meeting for the task force is scheduled for the 2nd of March. Mr. Hump has indicated what will happen. We will have daily briefings, even though we'll have just a few of us who will be doing the tour and the interviews at the end of the day. Those days from 4 to 5, we will have daily briefings. And in those daily briefings, those daily briefings will be open to the public. We want to reassure the public that this is a creditable task force with creditable people. We intend to do what we've been asked to do. Everyone on this task force has been supportive and encouraging, and we will continue to reach out, as Senator Nasheed suggested this afternoon. We'll continue to reach out to individuals. Representative Aldridge did reach back out to me, and unfortunately he is in Jeff City tonight, but he is interested in testifying, sending something to the task force. Congresswoman Bush also indicated that because of the late notice, she couldn't do anything today, but she's interested in submitting something to the task force as well, based upon the information that she's received. And as you see, we talked to our city defenders. I'm glad that they responded, and we'll be in touch with other organizations as well. So thank you, Senator Nasheed. You're absolutely right. We have an obligation to reach out and take some initiative as well.
Yeah. Hey, Reverend Gray, can you elaborate a little bit on where we are with the COVID testing, or Doc Walker? I don't know, either one of you.
Dr. Walker, do you want to elaborate on that?
The only information we have that's new, that I think we all saw in the paper, is that they offered the vaccine to 65 detainees and 22 accepted. I'm hopeful that as others see that they don't have side effects, they don't get sick, that they might step up and want the vaccine too. So we need to ask the question about, will it be offered again or continuously? Brad is working on another request, and in that request, there are several COVID questions, like how many guards have had COVID, how many detainees have had COVID, how many guards have been tested, how many detainees have been tested. I think those are the 4. There might be a 5th, but they have not provided that information to us. And the other thing I think that's important that we see that he's going to request is the January monthly report, which shows how many medical complaints they had, how many mental health instances they had, how many drug confiscations occurred. We have that for all of 2020, but we don't have January, the month where the incidents occurred.
Yeah. So right now we don't have anything in place where the health department, or I don't know, Affinia will be going inside doing testing. The things that we talked about at the first meeting.
What Commissioner Glass said at the last meeting was that he would have the medical staff and the caseworkers go around and talk to each detainee and offer them testing. And
have we heard anything back?
No, and I think we need to find out if that occurred, when it occurred, and did they test anybody? And I think we need to ask it in several places. We need to ask it of the administration, but also of the guards and the detainees.
Okay.
Thank you.
So Brad, could you put that on that action list that we made today, which Senator Nasheed was referring to, that we need to ask that question? Since we brought it up at the last meeting, what has been done, how it has been done, and how have people responded? Thank
Absolutely.
you, Senator Nasheed. Thank you, Senator. All right, is there any other business to come before the task force this evening? It is 6:55. If there is no other business, we'll recognize a motion to adjourn. Everybody's on mute. You better go off of mute if you want to adjourn.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Alderman Vaccaro came off of mute and made the motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
I second it.
It has been seconded by Alderman Boyd. Been probably moved in second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded, nay. Motion carries. Thank you very much. If there's any other information to share, we would do that electronically. Our next meeting is on the 2nd of March. And thank you all very night. Thanks to the people who testified. Everybody be safe. Good night.